Bonjour, je suis très heureux d'avoir avec nous Shabnam Ghazi de Toronto. Alors Shabnam, je suis très heureux de t'avoir. I'm very happy to have you through the magic of Zoom, and I am going to let you introduce your work.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to talk about my works and these new series that I've been working on for a few years. Um, I've been exploring the idea of the memory and relationship of the memory to the time and the place. I believe our memories are a refined and processed version of our thoughts regarding specific events, and then when we remember things with much of the information, they reduce an absolute abstraction or fragment of that recollection. So in this series that you are exhibiting there, I attempt to rewrite or recollect the pieces of the memories from my moments in my past, specifically like my childhood, or it started from my childhood because I try to remember things after living for so many years abroad. I try to remember the details of the good memory or whatever, the memory of something, and then I remember things in bits and pieces, and I try to remember things, and the whole idea started from the remembering things from the past. So I started remembering things, and then to create these objects and the pieces, to for people to just kind of connect with it. So for that reason, the process is very important for me. So I started, I attempt to rewrite or recollect the pieces of the memories from moments in my past, and then so the process involves the transcribing of that memory and using Persian calligraphy. It's a specific calligraphy method. We call it referred to as black writing or siyah mashq. I covered the page entirely with writing in every direction of the page. And then you will see in some part of the page, some parts, they become really dark and dense. And then when I write it, when I feel like satisfied and everything, I cut them, I shred them into the ribbon shaped pieces. And then from that, when I deconstruct my old memory, I start weaving the new things, new memories out of the old memories that I have. So if you go back to the yarns, so for the very simple tools that you need to weave something, you need yarns, you need some materials, so you need yarns and you need needles and those kind of things. So I started making these yarns basically, and then I started making the yarns to have my material to weave the pieces that you will see you exhibiting in the show. So basically the yarns, they were like mother of the whole ideas, the whole new series. I started with these yarns, and then with these yarns I started weaving big pieces like gabe that you will see, and then the panels and the other pieces. The what else I can add is you will see that some parts are very dark. It's from the repetition of the specific word or the sentence that it it came to my mind constantly, and then it was like mantra. It was like writing and writing and writing to get it out of your system in a good way, kind of thing. So and then those are the things, and some parts you will see they are very light, and basically the whole idea was like that.
With silk and paper.
Yes. So, but that's really good question, because for me, papers and memory is very, very fragile. And then I was reading somewhere that even if we remember things, it's only 50% of our memory are really correct and it happened. So they are really, memory is really fragile. And for me, paper and silk, it gives me the sense of that, like the material, it's like very fragile and it's very sheer. So that's why I chose silk and paper, you know. And working with paper, it's not that easy. So it wasn't like that easy. So it was very fragile, even working with it. So
Do you use a loom? What's the process that you use to?
oh, that's very another good question is like I made things like, so I don't use like a specific loom, or I had to come up with very the gabe that you are looking at is like I made like basically very primitive a loom like to come up with this, because it's like paper. I had to make like my the equipment that I really wanted to use to weave this gape. So it's not like something that I said like, yeah, I use like a specific loom from the store. No, I couldn't. So I had to make something like to come up with something. It's very primitive, but it works. They look like redact, and I call them redact because again, it goes back to the childhood that, or growing up back in Iran, you had to have like two separate lives basically, back in home and outside of the home. So you were censoring yourself, like it was like self censorship. It was very interesting, like, and then you didn't even realize that you are doing that, like after coming out of that environment, after like thinking about it, then you notice that you were doing it like unconsciously. You didn't even realize it, that you are self-censoring yourself. So these are again, it relates to that idea of censorship, but it's not from anything. It's just like from yourself, that you trying to censor yourself uh, for for some reasons, but it's very interesting that how we do and how we act.
Shabnam, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Quite interesting because all the works in the show with Shalabami and Ghazali, you're actually responding to each other in very different ways. But there is
Exactly.
an interesting idea that comes up between the weaving of memories, of stories, and
Yes.
censorship or auto censorship. And I really thought that your latest series really spoke to me very much, in addition to the beautiful aspect of your manipulation of the material. I think that it's important that these are not photographs. They are like these moments of weaving where you're spending time with the
Exactly.
material.
It's like every piece is like all my works, they are very time consuming. So but the time consuming, like it's just part of my work. It's the nature of the work that I do. And it's kind of, it gives you like the sense of meditation, that when you are working, sometimes I cannot even listen to music, because I really want to focus on how they, even like how I am weaving them, how black is going to sit beside the gray and how gray is going to sit beside the white, where which word is going to show. It's very interesting. It's it's calculation, but it's not calculation. It's very sensitive, but uh yeah, that's it basically.
You mentioned, Chad, that you can actually, in some cases, read the words.
Yes. So when you look at the things that you can realize, if you know Farsi, you realize the words, like you can pick up the words from my stories. Like each things, they have like a specific stories. And then if you look at the title, not this redacts one, but all my titles, I grab one sentence from that story and put the title, like as a title. And then if you know Farsi, for every single, like every piece, you can pick up the words. But the good thing is, like, because these are like my daily journal, right? You never give your journal, you never want anybody to read your journal. But so you can read it, but you cannot connect it, you know. You can spend like time, again, exactly the same time that I spend. Maybe you can connect like some part of the story, but not the whole story. And which I really like about it, you know. It's kind of hidden, but it's out there for public, you know, to view.
Shabnam, thank you so much for.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great. I hope I come and see it in person. Thank you so much for everything,
Thank you.
Pierre-François.
You too.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Au revoir.